Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another great episode of Partnership for Profits. I'm super excited for the show today because I get to talk to somebody that I know, somebody I consider a friend, and somebody who is an amazing storyteller. And I'm super excited to talk to my friend John Mashni, who has just recently started a new firm called Rendios Law. But he's not just a lawyer. John does all kinds of stuff. He writes children's books. He's an actor. He's involved in producing. All kinds of things, man. So we're going to get into John and what makes him tick. John, thanks for giving me some time today, man. I haven't seen you in a minute, so I'm super excited to have you on the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. Great to chat. Looking forward to catching up and having some fun. So thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you've recently started Rendios.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the firm, what you guys are doing, and I want to hear from you kind of how that's, because you've stepped away from another firm and you've started your own firm, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that transition and how that's going for you, and you know, just let me know like what's working, what's not working for you guys.
Yeah,
there's a lot of plates in the air when you're starting a new business like that. So talk to me a little bit about how that's going.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you asking. I mean, I think Rendios to me comes from my desire to be more authentic to who I am, right? And that includes practicing law, serving clients in a really kind of high end, high touch way, but also, doing something that doesn't burn people out, burn me out, burn the team out. Having a team of people who, are living their best lives, not just like living so that, I can have a great life. Like it's really designed so that, you know, we all can live the lives that we want to live. And so that, I'm building something one that is a law practice where we're serving clients that general business kind of, regular kind of business, corporate contract, that type of work. Intellectual property, that's one of my passions and one of the things that I've just been super involved in, before law school, even, went to film school. And so was super interested in intellectual property from like the filmmaking, storytelling space. And now we do it for clients. We do it very kind of high end, very kind of what I would say is customized intellectual property planning and protection for people that really need it, particularly businesses and entrepreneurs, and even sometimes individuals, nonprofits, all across the board. And then now I'm adding like a tax planning piece to what I do, which is really fun and exciting. And then we have outside general counsel services where it's like that's kind of what we do anyway, but kind of formalizing it, right? Where we can kind of direct legal traffic, whether it's buying a business, selling a business, employment issues, we can direct that traffic. And we either have people on the team that can help, or we have great partners that we can send them to. So we're really trying to be just that trusted advisor. I know like a lot of people are focused on, hey, I use AI for everything, but there's a lot that AI can't do, right? That relationship where you have that background and people can help you make decisions. And they want that confidence and that trust and that person that can help them. So that's really where I'm kind of building out Rendios. And Rendios for me, just to kind of fill you in too, I love the name, right? It's not my name. I never would name a firm after myself after kind of my branding and startup experience. Now I'm just like, no, it's not about me. But Ren is a type of bird that attacks much larger animals. And so I love that analogy, or that just kind of like story about our firm, right? Is we're not afraid. Like we have big firm experience and big firm training, and we've done very sophisticated projects for the last, decade plus. But we're not gonna kind of over lawyer. We're just gonna do we're gonna fight, and we're gonna be there for people and be that resource for people. And then for me, Dios implies like just there's like a faith to what we do, right? We're being authentic to who we are. We're created to do something cool. And so I love it. Plus, the final thing is Ren is like this Confucian term for the way of humanity. So it's got this double meaning. So that's really what I'm about, man. I just was like, this is perfect, right? Like we're really just being authentic. We're trying to help and be that trusted resource, and then be ourselves, and that's what I'm really excited about it.
I love it, man. I love the passion, and I love the vision. I've been talking to you several times over the last few months about how you guys are setting things up and what you guys have going on. So I think it's super, super cool. You mentioned something earlier, and you've mentioned this to me before, when we were talking about the name of the firm and how
Yeah.
it's important for you to not, for it not to be, you know, the Mashni law firm or something like that. And I feel like what you told me was, and I love this, it was the idea of, you know, if you have other attorneys or other people working for you, if it's your name on the business, and I may be misremembering what you told me, but it was
Yeah.
some perspective, like your employees are not going to have the same level of ownership if it's the Mashni firm or John Mashni Law,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So with a name like that, it allows the employees to kind of feel like they're a little more invested, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, there's nothing wrong. I know since so many lawyers who name firms after themselves.
Sure.
For me personally, I just really struggle with trying to lead people, right? And say like, hey, it's not about me, it's not about me. And I think that's my style of leadership is servant leadership. And I've been in lots of firms where like the name partners are just kind of like this, they walk on water, they can't do anything wrong.
Right.
And sometimes they take benefits, right? That just, they do they like it's not always win-win, we'll put it that way. And I just really not want it to be about me, right? I want everybody in their role to feel excited and feel like they're working in their unique abilities and their talents, their
Right.
skill sets, and they're living their best life. And so that's why to me it's like, hey, I don't want to name it after myself just because of that, because I feel like it's much harder to lead people, right? And it comes from partially where when I graduated law school, I went to what you call a mid-sized firm, but a big firm like 100 or so attorneys, and I've got a secretary assigned to me, right, or an assistant, and it kind of blew my mind. I was like, what is happening? Like it's so weird, right? You get this person assigned to you, and they know how more stuff works than you do, right? Like they know where everything is. It's like, how do you submit this? How do you do that? And you're really in this unique position of like you're just graduated law school, but you have no idea what to do. So you're just like, hey, then your secretary is teaching you like, hey, here's what you do, right? And here's how you send a letter, right? Um, and she said something to me one time, and by the way, I love her. She's great, to this day, Tammy. She said, hey, well, I work for you. And I was like, you work for me? No, we work together. Like you work with me. You don't work for me,
Right.
right? And so that stuck with me because it's like I just had this reaction to like somebody saying, I work for you. It just hit me. I was like, no, you don't. You don't work for me. Right? We work together. We're trying to we're fighting the same battle. We're working on the same stuff. I just have a different role than you. And so that's what to me is important in a firm setting and honestly any business that I'm a part of.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
I don't, you don't work for me. I don't work for you. We work together. And honestly, if it's if my role is just work for you and do whatever this person says, like that's going to be dysfunctional. That's not going to be win-win. It's just not at some point. So
Yeah.
that's where that really comes from.
I think it's so funny, the power between that one letter word and that two-letter word of I and we. Like we is so much more powerful of a word when you're
Yeah.
working with people. I try to use that all the time in our business, and when we're bringing people in on projects or when I'm working with a client, even it's not I and it's not you, it's we, and how are we going to get where we need to go. And it's just such a powerful word. So and I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
about that's, I know that's your philosophy, and I absolutely love that. So
Yeah.
business owners take that to heart. We is a very powerful word, way more
But you
powerful.
have to mean it.
Yeah,
Will, you
100%.
gotta that's the difference is you gotta mean it. It can't be a device, it can't be a tactic, right? It's gotta
Right.
be truly, it's gotta be the we. Like, hey, let's do this together. And it doesn't, and that's the thing that's unique. Like, when you see and you find people like that and businesses like that, gosh, they're just the best. To either hire, like as vendors, to work with, to partner with, to collaborate with, they're the
Yeah,
best. And it
I
just
agree.
comes off you almost know the first phone call,
Yeah,
right?
I think the level of buy-in that you get from people when you are committed to that, and that's a strong belief or core value that you have, or it's the whole and not the individual. I just think that that makes everybody happier, makes the work better, makes the clients happier. So love that philosophy. I think everybody needs to apply that in their business, whether they're a lawyer or not. Um, That's great, man. I'm super excited for where you guys are going and what you guys have set up. I think it's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about film. We've talked about film before.
Yeah.
You went to film school, and then did you finish film school, or did you pivot to
No, I
law?
just did a summer. I just did a summer in New York. I
At
kind of figured
NYU?
out New York Film Academy. So
Oh,
I
okay.
did their like summer program, and I loved it. I had an amazing time. Like it was incredible. Like we were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You had class all day, like 8 to 5. Okay, and
Right.
then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you split up into teams, like 4 or 5 person teams, and everybody rotated roles. So on that long weekend, one person had a script, so you had to write during the week too, and like prep a script, and then one person was director, one person was like a assistant camera guy, another somebody else did like lighting, and then you just went off, and we were in New York, so you could go shoot anywhere. You could shoot anywhere in the city.
Right.
You could take a train. My favorite film that I shot was, we actually took the train to New Haven, Connecticut. We were on Yale's campus. We shot at Yale University. It's one of the coolest things. We were just hanging out at Yale shooting, and we were looking for I wanted a dolly shot so badly. And I remember we found a used wheelchair at this, like, I don't know, just it was like a thrift store, right? We found this used wheelchair. So I bought this used wheelchair. It was like $10. I don't remember. It was not very much money. It was, let's say, the least expensive thing in all of New York. Like the least expensive, like piece of pizza was like $20, but the wheelchair was like $10. So that's just how it works. But we were walking around Yale with this. We had the tripods sitting in the wheelchair, so we made up our dolly, and it was a great experience. And then afterwards, you're editing at night, so you go to class all day, you edit at night. We cut 16 millimeter film. We shot 16 millimeter, and we cut it ourselves. These big Steenbeck editing machines. So it was
That's
just
cool.
this incredible experience. And one of the things I learned was that, man, I'm not sure if I want to live in New York or LA. Like, do I have to do it in those cities? But number two, I realized I love telling stories, but I don't necessarily think that I'm meant to be doing it this way. So I was looking for a different way when I came back from New York. And so that's when I started writing a bunch, right? But I always had this love for film. But it was an incredible experience, and it taught me so much. I met really cool people, and met crazy people, like some of the artists there. Just one guy shot black and white, and then colored each cell on the film with crayon. That was
Oh, cool.
his thing. Yeah.
Okay.
The movies made no sense, like just no plot. There's this anti-plot, right? It's like, hey, having a plot is somehow like, you're giving into the man, but we don't have a plot. So it's like no plot, but then you have color. Anyway, it was just crazy stuff.
So
Um,
I got to imagine that having that experience probably has. I don't want to speak for you, but I would imagine that that's had a pretty big impact on your desire. That had to have had a pretty good on your desire to want to work with creative people and people that are kind of
yeah.
in the trenches, making it happen. Whether they have $100 million budget or whether they have a micro budget, but
Yeah.
I I got to imagine that kind of increased your
Yeah.
affinity for
So
artists.
here's what I learned, right? I love creative people. Like, I could spend all day talking to creative people. Like you and I, we were talking about Orson Welles and Touch of Evil, and like I could talk all day about Orson Welles
Right.
or any type of story, anybody that I love, right? But what I learned in terms of who I like to work with is they have to have some creativity. Like, they're an artist deep down, but they also have to have some business sense, right? For me to engage and say, like, hey, I can help you. It's this marriage, right? And even when I say, hey, we work on a feature film, right? They can't be just pure artists. They have to have some business savvy. And I can help and bring them on board with like the legal side. And similarly, even with entrepreneurs or some of the business owners I work with, deep down, they're kind of artists, right? They're trying to create something, they're passionate, but they just need some legal and business, help. And that's where I can come in and I can really relate. And with all the different stuff that I've done, even before I went to film school, and became a lawyer and all that kind of stuff, I started different businesses and ran my own production company and did marketing and ran a media department. So I'd have all this other experiences that really helped. So it's like, yeah, it's that mixture of like that creative and that business sense. And that's where I think those are just really cool people, one, to spend time with, but two, to work with professionally.
So when you were, I've never asked you this. When going to law school, was that the area you wanted to get into from the jump, or did you have something else in mind? And then the film school experience kind of led you down that path. How did you go into like the IP lane?
Yeah.
How did that happen for you?
So when I went to film school, I thought there's no way I could ever do anything entertainment because I'm not going to LA, I'm not going to California. And so I was all about business. Like in law school, I was just all about business, transactional type work. Because I thought, my attitude was, and I kind of went to school 10 years. I was after college. So I worked for 10 years, then went back to law school. So I just had all this experience. And what I realized was I'm not going to pick the area of law that I find interesting because frankly, they're all super interesting. Like
Mm-hmm.
criminal defense is fascinating, or just criminal
Yeah.
law is fascinating. Constitutional law is fascinating. There's a lot of really interesting areas of law. What I said was, who do I want to spend time with, like on a daily basis? Because if I'm in litigation, everybody I'm talking to is we're fighting about something. Like it's just we're fighting, and some people love that. I think I probably would love that, but I also was like, it kind of sucks to you're no one ever wants to talk to you, right?
Right.
So I started to say, well, I like entrepreneurs. I like business owners. I like people who are excited. They want to talk to me at the beginning or to protect themselves or save money or whatever. And that's where I said, yeah, I want to talk to entrepreneurs and business owners. And that's who I want to spend time with. So how do I learn the issues that relate to them? And then with my film background, I always was interested in kind of filmmaking and the IP of entertainment. So I took a bunch of those classes, and that's where I got this great IP background in law schools, taking all these IP classes and really learning how things work. And it fit into the context that I already built up
Right.
with my own company and going to film school and just kind of being obsessed with storytelling.
So the dots were just connected.
Yeah. And I
Makes
never
sense.
thought I would do it even out of law school until I think I might have even told you this. A good friend of mine who I'd helped on his movie multiple years before when I was in law school, he calls me up. I'm a first year attorney. John, hey, I need an attorney for my film, but I hate attorneys. But I like you. So can you help me? And I'm a first year attorney. Like, well, I never thought in Michigan where I live, I would do anything entertainment related because I just thought it's all in New York. It's all in LA. And that's how I started. Just started working on this film, and I was just brand new as a lawyer, but I kind of knew how things worked. And so from a practical non-legal perspective, and then I could fit in all the legal side.
So, I love that. And that all makes perfect sense based off what I know about you. So we've got the IP stuff happening. You still produce films, right? You still produce occasionally.
Yeah, I work with a group. So yeah, the last 10 years or so, we've done 10 or 12 movies. I can't even remember. We're in production on one. Last week we were shooting, this weekend we're shooting. So
And you're acting
um
in this film too.
I am acting. Yep. They love to like throw me in, be like, John, you know, last movie they killed. Well, I guess 2 movies ago they were like, John, we got this great scene for you, and I got killed. They're like, they love to kill the lawyer. Um, get revenge for telling them, whatever I tell them.
So
Um,
yeah,
Go
so
ahead,
you got
man.
that going on, and you also you're writing children's books with your kids, and I love that story. You can talk a little bit about that, but what I really want to know is, like, do you have a restless mind? And because you have so much going on, and Armando, Armando has a restless mind for sure, because there's always something new to try and to reach out at, which I don't mean that in a negative way at all.
No, I
um
totally am. And by the way,
but
that's why Armando and I hit it off so
I
quickly. We were just like, we
100%.
think the same.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, but what I love about you is that, and maybe it's not a restless mind, but you've got ideas, right? Just things happening in your head, but you don't strike me as someone who just sits on the ideas, but says, "Okay, well, let's go try it." I got an idea for. I told my kid a story last night, and they laughed at it, and so I'm gonna go put this in a book because somebody else is gonna like this too. I guess that's kind of where your head was at. Is how do you? What's the mindset for you to kind of act on the ideas rather than just have the ideas? Because they're really two very
Wow.
big different things, right?
Well, it's a great question, and I think that it came from studying art. The answer that I'm going to give you came from studying art and artists. And a lot of people think they aren't artistic or they aren't like they aren't whatever you could say whatever artistic field. I
Hmm.
can't sing. But a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't sing," or "I can't play an instrument, or I can't act, or I can't do this, I can't do that. And the reality is, and I learned this when in high school, I thought I couldn't sing, and this music teacher said, "No, you can sing." And she spent all this time with me teaching me to sing. And I actually got made fun of because I was the rabbi and Fiddler on the Roof, and I had like four notes. I couldn't even hit the four notes. But and what is it's funny? It's like I couldn't. It was like Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. I couldn't even hit the notes. And that's what prompted me to go like see like, hey, is being a singer something that you're just born with, or is it a skill? And what I learned was anybody can learn to sing. Like you can learn. Doesn't mean you're going to be
Sure.
like the greatest singer, but you can look. It's a skill. You can get better at. You can improve. You can learn
Right.
it. In fact, I learned it so much. I sang in Glee Club in college at Michigan State. I sang in the Michigan State Glee Club. I was a tenor too, right? So it's crazy. So why am I telling you that? Well, I think like being an artist is the same way. And we all have these thoughts that pop into our head. And I don't know if I've ever shared this. I might have written an article about it. It's on my blog, but I saw this great documentary with Jerry Seinfeld. I think it was Jerry before Seinfeld, or one of the ones on Netflix. And he was talking about how he writes jokes, and it
Was
really
it
just
comedian?
resonated with me.
I think it's called
I
comedian.
don't think it was comedian. I think it was
Okay.
a different one than comedian.
Okay.
I think it was Jerry before Seinfeld. I could be wrong
Mhm.
though, so it could be comedian. It's one of the ones where Jerry Seinfeld talks about his writing process, and he talks about how he writes jokes every day, and he had all these sheets of paper that he put out, and he's like, these are all these my old jokes like that I just keep, and they're all on pieces of paper. And he used this example, and he basically said it's like a faucet. Every single day, water drips out, and he's like, that's all the jokes, that's all the stories, that's everything that's popping in his head. And it's like your job as an artist is just put something under that faucet and catch the stuff that drips out. And like that's the him writing jokes every day. He'd write a
That's the
joke a day, and he'd had
that's the water. Okay.
and like yeah, and that's catching the water. And so what I realized was if I just started capturing my thoughts on a daily basis and writing them, whether it's you know journaling, something things I think are that are funny, quotes that I like. Like I started collecting quotes when I was in law school because I was reinventing myself and I was trying to capture everything that I'd learned in the last 10 years of being a professional. So now I have this document that I can go back to, and it's incredible. This incredible notes that I took about reinventing yourself that I was actually turning into a book years ago before I started children's books, because I just tried to capture those ideas that were just dripping out, which if I didn't capture, they're just lost forever. And so, like if I were to say like, hey, I got all this stuff going on, people say like, how do you do it or how do you do that? It's like honestly, it's getting some systems or some routine where you're just capturing these little drops that fall out, right? And now and it accumulates over time. You do it every single day, 15 minutes a day. I wrote an article, how to write a children's book in 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day. That's it. How to do it. And it's amazing what you can do in 15 minutes a day. And why 15 minutes? Because that's all the time I have. That's it. Just 15 minutes. That's it. Okay, we got to do a million other things here.
Right. Yeah, it's but the acting on it, like the actual like following
You
through
got to do it.
is
You got to put your cup under. When you get that idea, you have to capture it and then have a plan to execute. And it's got to be, this is where I think too people overthink it. Like keep it simple. What can you do? Like let me give you an example. When I wrote a children's book, it wasn't John's doing everything. I don't illustrate. Not that I can't, but my kids or my wife would be like, John, yeah, you can't draw. But I the thing I tell clients too in business, how do you create a business? You do this. You build the team. That's your job. Build the team.
right.
Figure out what you can do, and then build the team around that. Like for me, when it comes to doing children's books, I can write the story. I don't edit the story. I hire an editor. I hire a layout person. I hire an illustrator. I hire people that help me with marketing and other stuff. I write the story. That's what I can do. And then based on my skill set, I build the team around it. That's how you do 15 minutes a day. That's the secret right there. Is you build the team. And you don't think, "Oh, I'm not going to do it just because I can't do every single step." You say, "What's the next right thing that I can do right now?" And you just get ruthless about it. You say, hey, what am I doing? And then build the team. What am I doing? Build the team. What am I doing? Build the team. Oh, I can't find an editor. Go find an editor. I need a backup. I need a backup illustrator. So to me, it's just, yeah, you can't live in idealist world. You can't, like, you can, it's just, you're not going to get stuff done. That's why that person, coloring on the film with crayons, God bless them. They're still an artist. They're not any less of an artist.
Right.
It's just, they're missing out on getting an audience and making it real and manifesting something from nothing and getting people to like it and buy it and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's that practical side that just kind of smashes against the artist.
It's the who, not how, I guess, we hear a lot.
Yeah.
That's really going to kind of get things over the line for you. And I'm sure you're putting that same philosophy into play as you're starting out as Rendios is getting underway and going. You gotta
Amen.
get that
Yeah.
built. Yeah. So you've reinvented yourself across different industries. What is the what's the John Mashni formula for starting fresh without starting over?
Wow. Well, I've actually written a ton about this, Will, and I'll say this. Reinvention to me is probably one of the most valuable skills like you can develop, right? Nothing stays the same. Nothing. You're either dying or growing, right? Like the Shawshank line, get busy
Get
dying
busy
or
living, get busy
get
dying.
busy living, get busy dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, yeah, I was like looking for Shawshank t-shirts the other day because I was just like, I need to represent Shawshank Redemption. Anyway, like Dufresne Reading, like the sailboat or whatever. I was just thinking about that. But the reality is nothing stays the same. And so you got to reinvent. You have to. And even in a business, same thing. Costs are always going up. Costs never go down. Never a surprise like, hey, all the employees want less money this year. This doesn't happen. Like, hey, healthcare costs actually went down. No, just it's not going to happen. So
Right.
you gotta step it up. You got to be more profitable every year by innovating, by improving. It's just got to happen. It's got to happen. And so that's reinvention from a business sense, from a personal sense. Relationships don't stay the same, and I'm learning this too, right? And I look at it this way: there's three types of reinvention. I can't remember if we talked about this before. I've written a ton about it, but there's the easy, I shouldn't say easy type, but the one that most people think of is something happens where you have to change. You have a heart attack, you get a divorce,
Right.
you get a business separation, you get terminated from your job, right? Something has to change. And I think there's strategies with that type of reinvention, and you have to follow those strategies. And there's another type of reinvention, which I call proactive reinvention, which is you see a trend, you see an opportunity, get this idea like, hey, oh, there's something new I want to do. And I think that's when, for me, the keys there's two keys. Number one is you got to block and tackle and have enough margin in your life to pursue the trend and pursue the opportunity. That's just it. If you don't have that margin, that space, that time, and for me with the children's books, it was 15 minutes a day. If I didn't carve out 15 minutes a day at the beginning of the day, I've never worked if I did it at the end. It was literally before I check my phone, before I do anything, it was just like 15 minutes before anything. Because even if you don't carve out that little slice of time, it could be a big slice, but that slice, you're never going to chase down that opportunity. You're never going to follow that trend. And that's one of the keys. I mean, there's other keys too, but that's one of the keys is like just being consistent and carving out that time.
I love it. We preach that all day long in our business. I think you've heard me say that to you before. Like, hey, it's all about consistency and keeping it going. I love it, man. I love that. Your words of wisdom, man. I love talking to you, John. Every time I talk to you, I come away. I think I told you this before. When I talk to you, I come away feeling energized and like, yes, let's go.
Let's go, baby. Yes.
So
Love it.
love having the conversation with you. I want to ask you before we go. I want you to give me we talk movies all the time when we talk. You got any recommendations for me? Something I should see?
Oh, that we haven't talked about or that we have?
Yeah,
Okay.
that we haven't talked about.
Well, I would say, okay, I love RRR. Doing a podcast, on it. It's coming out. Have you seen? Okay, Bahubali is related to RRR. So Bahubali #1. If you haven't watched that, it's
Okay.
fantastic. Part 1, Part 2.
Can you
But
spell
if
it?
you Bahubali, it's on Netflix.
Okay. I'm writing it down.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
All right.
But there's one of my favorite movies I would love to just tell people to watch. It's so touching. And I think we might have even talked about it. So apologies if I'm repeating, but Akiru by Akira Kurosawa. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Ikiru.
Yes, yes, yes. Incredible
Okay.
film. Yeah.
So okay, wait, you've seen that one. So now I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad.
Um,
I'll watch it again. I haven't seen it in a
Akiru.
while. Yeah,
I think
that's
Akiru to me is one of the most honest, uplifting, powerful movies, right? It means to live in Japanese, and um it's incredible. Like honestly, it's just the meaning of life, right? It's so good. And it's a little slow. I think it takes time to get through it. It's not, the pacing is just very intentional, but it's beautiful,
right.
man. It's beautiful.
Cool. I will. I'm gonna rewatch Akira and I will watch Bahubali. I'm gonna check it out, man. And if you
Bahubali is the best.
yeah, I can't
Bahubali is the
wait
best.
because I love RRR too. RRR blew me away when I saw it. I was like, "What is this? This is incredible!" So, I will definitely check it out. John, this has been an awesome conversation. I don't
Love it.
usually get to just like talk shop with you, so this has been super fun to kind of
Yeah.
hear a little bit more from you, as opposed to like talking strategy. I love just to have the open conversation. So been super great. Let people know out there, John, how they can find you, how they can find
Yep.
Rendios, how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, Rendios is just rendios.com, rendios.com. Best way to get in touch with me is through my website, johnmashni.com. You can find links to all my books, all my articles, over 100 plus articles on just all the reinvention and creativity and writing, entrepreneurship, legal. And then you can get me on socials, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all, YouTube there. There'll be a podcast link on there soon. So we're launching our podcast, The Intense Life, and there'll be a lot of fun stuff. There's a secret area too, so you got to bust in and break in. But I do have some fun things like a menu, my favorite food items that we like to cook, just some fun free stuff there too, like my course on how to write a children's book in 15 minutes a day, and some of my stuff on reinvention. So johnmashni.com, johnmashni.com.
Awesome, man. John, love talking to you, man. Good to see you. And those of you who are watching the live stream out there, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are watching the recorded version on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, we do appreciate you guys doing that as well. Make sure you give it a like and a star and a thumb and all those good things that do good for us, and let people know what we have going on as well. I've got another episode coming up in about 20 minutes. I'll be talking to somebody else, and we'll see if they can bring as much good stuff to the table as my friend John here has.
Love it.
John, thanks again, buddy. Really appreciate the time this afternoon, and I will talk to you soon, I'm sure. And
thanks, Will.
See you guys very soon. We'll see you on another episode here shortly.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.